What's up guys, welcome to this video series where we are going to discuss about Git, and we are going to look at tutorials about Git for absolute beginners who have no idea about what Git is. So Git is basically a VCS, a version control system. It's also called SCM, which is a source code management tool. And Git was developed by Linus Torvalds, the same guy who um, created Linux, and it's gained a lot of popularity in recent times, especially because it's a distributed VCS. And so even if you do a quick search on Google Trends, you'll see that it has increased in popularity, and basically everybody has started using Git now. And so there are some other tools for VCS like Perforce, and you have SVN, CVS, and some other tools. But Git is basically the most popular. And then you have other tools which implement Git or use Git as their core, like you have GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, right? So what does Git do? So the whole idea of Git is it basically helps you to maintain the versions of your code. So for example, if you have a developer working on some piece of code, and then he keeps writing code and he keeps testing, and what happens is sometimes you want to go back to the previous time it was working, the previous version of the code, or the previous iteration where the code was working fine. So what Git does is gives you this ability to take a snapshot of your code, and then you can keep working, and then if you don't like this, you can just go back. All right, or if you like this, you can just save this, so then you have two copies of the code, and you can always go back to any snapshot. So it makes the lives of the developers a lot easier. And apart from this, the other benefit of Git is, if you have a team of developers sitting across the world or across different offices, they can all still work on the same piece of code or the same module. So if I make some change or some code, and I push it to the online repository, and then somebody else tries to push it, it's going to tell them there is a conflict and I have made that changes. So basically it encourages or it handles the collaboration, so that we don't overwrite each other's code. So that's where it really shines. And it's a very important tool in DevOps, because yeah, what happens is in DevOps, as soon as the code gets pushed um, in Git, we want to trigger ICI, RCI jobs and start testing the code and seeing if the quality of the code is good, and if it's not, the developer should get the feedback as soon as possible. And and you have in Git, how it kind of works is you have a local copy which you can download, and then you can work on that, and once you feel it's good, you can just push that to the online repository. So that's what they mean by a distributed version control system. Everybody has their own local copy which they can work on, or they can synchronize with the main repository, and if they have something to push, they can push that forward. So what I'll show you today is how we can download Git, and how you can just do some basic configurations, and then in the next few tutorials we'll look deeper into Git and how we can start actually maintaining code in Git. And right, so the first thing you need to do is just go off to this link, or just search in Google download Git, and depending on which version or machine you are, you will get this options. Just go here and download it. Once you download this, you're going to get this option. Just click on this and click on next. It's pretty simple, right? So I already have Git installed. There's nothing wrong that you can do in here. Alright, so what I do is, the first thing I need to do, I can do is, I'll just configure my username. So git config global global, and then you have user.name, and then you have get beginner, right? So I'm basically setting my username to get beginner, right? So now how do I check if it's done? So what I can do is just go to get config minus list, right? And you'll see out here that I have been able to configure it, right? So you see that my email address is this, so maybe I'm not happy with this, I need to change this. So what I can do is just go out here and okay, and get learner at youtube.com, right? User.email, and I can basically just look at the key value at the top, right? And just hit enter. Now there's another way for me to check this. If I don't want to use the list option that I did before, what I can do is just go to get config user.email, and this should show me the email. So right now, if this is what the email is set as, I can also do the get config list, and it's going to show me the same information plus a lot more information. So it depends on how I want to see that. And so once you install git, what's going to happen is, in windows in windows, it's going to give you this command prompt of git bash, right? So what you could do is just go in here, and then it kind of works like Linux, but it's not something important that you need to know. It's, even if you just go to the command prompt, you will be able to do a git. So you can use it from here, or you can use it from the git bash. It doesn't really matter. And they do have a UI tool also, but I would recommend don't use that, because the best way to understand and learn git is start using it from the command prompt, right? And so that's it. So I think that's all I wanted to share. And yeah, if you have any um, let me just open it now, git bash. If you want to learn more about git on your own, what you could do is just go to git I think help, and you get an option to see what are all the commands with git. So for example, commit, branch, merge, all of these, and then you can start reading more about these. I'll be making tutorials on each of these topics, so just follow the playlist and you should be able to start reading up on this. Git is a big topic, and it starts getting more complex, but for now we just need to know how to install it and how to configure your email and your username. That should be good. And if you really want to learn more about that, so you can just go to git help commit, right? And what it does is basically, once you put in this git help and then the commit or any other thing, it opens the guide, and then you can just start reading over here what are the different options with git commit that you could use, a short description about the command, just stuff like that, right? I hope this helps, and I'll see you at the next tutorial. Yeah, right.